right, we're going to be talking about hot color for dry gardens right now with Nan Sturman, an author and television host from Southern California. Welcome to Central Texas Gardener.
Thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here.
You have authored a beautiful new book, Hot Color Dry Gardens. And tell me, what was the impetus for that?
I give a lot of talks and I write a lot of books, and I promote water-wise gardening all throughout California. You know, it's really important throughout the West, the Southwest, and where you are, because we're in a period of drought. Drought is now becoming the standard.
Right.
To really encourage people to be much more climate appropriate in their plant choices. So I give lots of talks and teach lots of classes. And often when I'm talking about going with more water-wise plants, people get really scared, and when I talk about dry gardens, they think, oh, dry, that's brown. I have to have color in my garden.
Exactly.
And the truth is, water-wise gardens, water-wise plants and water-wise gardens are incredibly colorful.
Right.
So after enough time of getting this objection, I thought, you know, I've just got to show people how colorful the gardens are and how to create color-filled gardens.
Well, and that's going to be our focus, is really kind of the practical side of this, how to, et cetera. You know, this is something that you have actually been working at for a time. You started off, actually, interestingly, as an educator and a scientist.
Yes, I started out as a botanist and biologist, and then found myself really gravitating towards the teaching or the information end of that. Not so much classroom teaching, but making people aware of the world around them.
Right.
And so I ended up with another degree in an area called instructional design, which is about developing training education programs, and everything collided somehow. And
Happily.
I'm a garden communicator. Every book, every class, every lecture, every trip that I lead, everything that I do has to do with plants and gardening. And I don't tell people this very often, but really, it's teaching science. Don't tell them. Okay?
I promise to keep that a secret.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Nan, the book has lots of practical information. It's glorious to look at, but it goes much deeper than that. I want to just have a handful of the most important tips for people who are thinking about, okay, I do want a colorful, form-filled, really gorgeous garden, but I don't know how to do this dry thing. So what are the three most important tips?
Well, I'd say for creating a color-filled garden, what you want to do is you want to start by looking at the setting. The plants can be colorful, but if the plants are colorful against a really uninteresting background or a white background, even worse, they don't pop. So you want to really create color-filled backgrounds, color-filled settings, whether that means you paint your house or you build a wall or something that provides color to start with.
Right. As simple as painting a fence.
Absolutely. And in fact, I have several examples of that in this book.
Yeah.
And then what you do is, well, first you want to come up with a color palette.
Right.
What colors do you want to work with? And so you look at the setting, you create a color-filled setting, you look at the plants that will go with that setting, and you look for the color of the leaf and the flower and all the different components of the plants that go with that. And then you want to also look at the accessories, the furniture, the pots, all of that.
Right.
It's a whole picture for creating color-filled gardens. It's not just plants, it's not just one thing, it's not another, it's a big picture approach.
You know, and as pottery gets more colorful, that certainly plays an important role in all of this. And you can even have colorful mulches now. You can use crushed glass mulch that's blue.
Those are beautiful. I have one example of a woman who lives in Hollywood, and her house, she has one of those little old Spanish Revival style cottages. Except instead of being white with a red tile roof, it's sagey green with a blue roof. And her whole garden plays off that. She inherited it, and so the whole garden plays off that, and she brings in reds and all kinds of colors, and then her mulch in certain areas are the same color glass as that sagey green with a little bit of bright blue and just enough contrast to make it pop. Because one of the important things to know about working with color is, you know, a lot of people want to do all one color. Well, one color you can't really see. You have to add little bits of contrasting colors. That's what makes it pop.
You know, and then, you know, and the book is filled with so many different kinds of plants. And one of the cool things about the desert kind of palette, if you will, is that there are new cultivars coming out with all sorts of color tones to them that are just really wonderful.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
You want a blue agave? No problem.
Really, literally, a
Yes.
blue agave.
Right.
That's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Then they're glorious plants. Speaking of plants, I was trying to think about how to talk about this, and I was thinking, sometimes if I go to the east, I get jealous of all these glorious leafy green things. What makes
So
people
do I.
from that kind of gardening jealous about this kind of garden, these wonderful dry plants?
Well, one thing that makes those people jealous is the vast array of colorful succulents that we can grow.
Right.
And some of which you grow here as well,
Of course,
the
yeah.
agaves and such. But there's things like, there's a kalanchoe that's a round blade kalanchoe, the one
yeah.
Thursiflora,
Yeah.
and it's the color of sunset. And people look at that and they go crazy. In fact, sometimes I'll see online, a pot, and they have one little one, and they'll say, "Look what I've got," and I think, I got to patch this big.
Right.
Those plants, there's a incredible California native plants like what they call California lilac, not really a lilac.
Of course.
The ceanothus, which bloom in incredible shades of brilliant blue, cobalt blue, all the way to pale blue, and the leaves are a deep, deep green. They're gorgeous.
Right.
Then we have all the plants from the Mediterranean climates around the world.
Of course.
So, for example, South Africa, you've got a wealth of amazing-looking plants. The pincushions in a protea family, they make these flowers that are softball size. All these stamens, it looks like a pincushion.
Yeah.
And the colors are orange and red and yellow. Absolutely stunning.
Right. And I think there's also kind of one quality that a lot of plants have from dryscapes is this sculptural quality that
Yes.
a lot of plants from other quarters don't have.
A lot of that has to do with the way they've evolved to deal with dry climates.
Of course.
So there's some, basic adaptations. One is succulents. Plants that are succulent have the ability to absorb water and
Right.
store it in their
Right.
blades and their roots and their stems for when there's not water.
Right.
Plants that have very sculpted leaves, very reduced leaves, the opposite of those ones on the East Coast, because water evaporates from the surface area.
Right.
So if you from the surface rather. So if you reduce your surface area and you've got very sculpted leaves, then you have less surface area to lose moisture from.
Right.
And so that's needly or ferny looking. They're not ferns, but they look like that.
Right.
And then we have the plants that are very silvery. And the silvery can be one of two things. One is a thick waxy layer,
Right.
which is a way of sealing in the
glaucous
water.
layer, right.
And if you touch it, the wax comes off on your finger and you see your fingerprint in the surface of the leaf,
Right.
which is green underneath.
Yes, right.
Or those that are very fuzzy, and they have that layer of very fine hairs, and those hairs are sunscreen,
Right,
like shade
exactly,
cloth,
right,
right?
yeah.
And they also impede the loss of water from the surface of the leaf. So you have just a wealth of textures and sculpt shapes and all kinds of things. It's really fun to play with.
Right. Now, one of the things I think some people fail with these kinds of plants because they haven't really attended to, for example, like the soil conditions. They'll try to grow something like this in clay or something like that. So what are some basic tips for people who really want to embrace this and be successful in terms of the surviving of the plants?
Well, you do have to do your homework always and
Of course,
find out
yeah.
what kind of soil conditions a plant is best suited to. It's not always that easy to find that information out.
Right.
A lot of these plants are going to want well-draining soil because of where they're from. And so a really great thing to do is to build a mound.
Exactly.
But I'm not talking about like a little gopher mound, like one mound for this plant, one mound for that
Right.
plant. That looks ridiculous.
No.
So what you do is you take your entire bed and you bring in soil, topsoil mixed with mineral base,
Right,
basically.
right.
And you make a mound. Literally, you can make a mound this tall. And by doing that, you're actually setting the stage. Because a flat bed is a flat bed is a flat bed. No matter what you put into it, it is flat.
Right.
But when you create those mounds and the textures and the contours, you're actually creating sculpture even before you put the plants in.
Right.
So then you have niches and angles, and it's
Yeah.
just much more fun to play with, and the plants are much happier.
Well, you say setting the stage, and a lot of these plants are so dramatic. They are theatrical in a sense, and you capture that so beautifully in the book we really, again, appreciate you coming and making time to be a guest on Central Texas Gardener. And congratulations on the success of your book.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great. And to have a colleague from another PBS program on board.
There
So
you
thank
go.
you. It's
Yeah,
great.
thanks.
All right. And coming up next, it's our friend Daphne.